Hello student. Today we are going to discuss types of headlines. In our previous lecture we have discussed what is headline. So before writing a headline you should know the writing process of the headline. So today we are going to discuss types of headlines and writing process of the headline. So writing process. Writing a headline involves both the literary and technical aspects. Font size, positioning of text, font style, width of the text and presentation are small technical consideration. Selection of words, sentence structure and the headline type are some of the literary aspects of the writing process of headline. So first main point of the writing a process is display and font size. Headlines have to be designed to fit into the allotted space. Thus, in 3-column story, the headline must occupy 3 columns of the type. In larger publication, generally one of the editors is assigned the job to determining the headline size, while other decide the headline content. A shorthand communication as 236-2 means that the story has 2 columns requiring 36 point head arranged in 2 lines. Such headline is also known as double-decker headline in the newsroom or the production department. Shorthand for headline is written in the following sequence: number of the column, the type size and the number of the lines. The height of the type size is measured in points while its width is measured in picas. The type size are standard. A type size which is equal to or smaller than about 12 pt is best used for body text and is rarely used for headlines. Larger than this point is used for headline that follow a point size in the range of 14 to 84. Such headlines are also known as display type headline. Next point is width, weight and style. Width of the headline is decided based on the newspaper column allotted to the news story. When a headline is bigger than the column space provided, double-decker headline is used. That is, it is split into 2 lines instead of 1. Setting the distance between letters known as kerning. The text also helps reduce space between the words, allowing the headline to fit into the given width. The bolder the font, the greater is the weight of the headline. Weight of the headline suggests the priority given to the news story by the editor. Weight is also related to the font style chosen for writing the headline. Example: a story written in light, semi-light style has lesser weight than the written in condensed or bold. Similarly, the font style also helps to decide the weight of the news story. The headline in sans serif font styles are soft news and features news stories. The headline in serif fonts have more weight. Newspaper use sans serif font only. Opt for a font family providing them a variety of font styles and weights. Next point is deciding news angles. Generally, news angles means perspective based on some elements or points of the story. For example, a story can be written from perspective of the people or the government or the some institution or a group of people. Especially it is the spin you impart to your story. You can give it to a new angle by changing the context. Say you saw 2 people standing under a lamppost in a campus. So those couple can be unmarried couple or husband wife in a married hostel. Your angle could be love and studies go together and just in love in the name of studies. Next point is writing the headline. The best way to write an attention grabbing headline is to understand the story fully. Thus, having got a good idea of story, the sub-editor is able to reflect it correctly in the headline. Under headline pressure, most sub-editor, copy editor only read the opening lines of the story to come up with the headline. At times, a fact or figure buried in the body text can also be used as a selling point in the headline. After writing the headline, one should get a third person to check it for its language and impact. Headline using redundant words are best dropped. Similarly, ambiguity has no place in the headline. Moreover, headlines contradicting the story are not at all to be used. Now we are going to discuss types of headlines. Headlines can be classified into various categories based on their structure, context, presentation and positioning. So first of all, we are going to discuss about the label headline. This type of headline does not have verb. It is a label and is similar to a book title. In short, a headline without a verb is called as a label headline. Example: this year Padma Awards, a season of holy festivities. A label headline is rarity and is used in newspaper to show neutrality in its approach to the story. A label is neutral in its approach and easily searchable in a database. Example: PM stand shows can be label headed as the PM stand. So these are the label headline. Next is descriptive headline. A descriptive headline is one which describes the gist of a news story. Its majorly focus on 5W plus 1H. 5 W's are who, what, when, where, why and how. While the why part of the story is often not the part of the headline. Descriptive headline are also called as how the headline when they are used for explaining stepwise process of doing something. For example, how to form an investigating habit or how to form. So our next topic is types of headlines. Headlines can be classified into various categories based on their structure, context, presentation and positioning. First of all, we are going to discuss label headline. This type of headline does not have verb. It is label and is similar to the book title. In short, a headline without a verb is called label headline. For example, this year's Padma Awards, a seasons of holy festivities. A label headline is rarity and is used in newspaper to show neutrality in its approach to the story. A label is neutral in its approach and easily searchable in a database. For example, PM stand shows can be labeled as headed as the PM stand. Next headline is descriptive headline. A descriptive headline is one which describes the gist of the story. It majorly focuses on 4 W's and 1 H. 4 W's means who, what, when, where, and 1 H is how. While why is not the part of the story or why is not captured in the headline. Descriptive headline are also called as how to handle when they are used for explaining the stepwise process of doing something. Example: how to form an investing habit. Chennai team develops device to test antibiotic resistance in just 6 hours. So the next part is comment headline. A comment headline is one of the headline that interprets the news partly. It adds extra meaning to the headline by looking for something that is going on behind the scene or by analyzing the implication of the news immediately or in long run. Comment does add color to the headline and thus enhances its impact. The trend of using comment in headline is growing these days. Example: desperate Pakistan wants to sabotage the Indian bid in the FATF. So, the another one is quotation headline. A quotation headline is the one that uses quotes in order that its impact is not reduced or lost after it is paraphrased. A quote is not a story in itself and hence is used to emphasize a news angle or a news point. That is why quotes are used separately in headline. Example: I didn't kill her and I do not want to be hanged. Another example is I am in full command and will get a second term PM. Another one is question headline. A question headline is one that evokes curiosity and highlights speculative points or provoke the reader to read the story. It is also good for pro and con stories. Many professionals do not favor it because it leaves the reader guessing, where the job of the headline is to make sure that its meaning is grasped clearly. Example of the question headline is Shatrughan Sinha on his way out? Who is number 2 in Rahul's kitchen cabinet? So these are the types of headline. Now we are going to discuss while writing a headline, what are the do's and do nots. So first is Keep it short and simple. Second is remember your target audience and reader for whom you are writing that piece of news. Third point is keep the placement, positioning, and currency of the news story in the mind. Another is you should avoid jargons of the word. And fifth point is be specific. Whatever your storyline is, you have to be specific on that story and write a headline according to it. Second, use numerals for numbers instead of words. Seventh, avoid using auxiliary verbs is, am, are and articles. Eighth, past events are reported in the present tense. And the ninth one is use popular acronyms if any. And the last one is write multiple headlines and choose one. So these are the basic types of headlines. Now you should know what are the props to write a headline, good headline. So these are the basic props which you can use while writing a good headline. One is shoulder or a kicker, strap line, crosshead, side head, and navigation. Now we are going to discuss one by one each of them. So first is why headline props is referred. Okay, so headline props are referred to as supporting headline that provides the much needed extra word and space to make the headline more meaningful. These headline props come in different formats serving different purposes. It is well known that a news report structure in an inverted pyramid style lifts the most important news point to the top of the story known as lead or intro. That is why most headlines are built on the news point content in the lead. However, several news reported especially developing and analytical stories are built on more than one news point. In such cases, headlines writers take most important points in the main headline and use a headline props to draw attention to remaining important points. In this sense, headline props are supporting headlines. So headlines props can be categorized as a follow. So first is shoulder or a kicker. A shoulder or a kicker is a supporting headline placed on top of the main headline and is smaller in size by definition. Earlier it was used to highlight the subject of the story, but these days it is also used to highlight the news point not contained in the main headline. For example, shoulder, India makes contact to meet negotiator today. Main headline would be Iraq captor give 24 more hours. In newspaper it is printed as follows. India makes contact to meet negotiator today. Iraq captor give 24 more hours. So these are the example. Another one is strap line. In terms of this positioning, a strap line may be defined as a reverse of kicker or shoulder as it is placed beneath of the main headline. Other attributes of strapline are almost same as that of a kicker or a shoulder. A strapline works as an extra hook to draw the reader into a story. This is done by providing additional information that makes it easy for the readers who are in a hurry to scan the day's headline. Usually a strapline is used in a single column format just below the main headline and its point size is kept less than that of main headline. The difference is point size helps the reader to tell the main point of the news story from the subsidiary points. Like shoulder of the page, straplines are set in reverse and against color background to add to the appeal of the page. For example, main headline is Sensex gain 40 points. Strap headline would be Revival of monsoon has done the magic. So strapline may also be used to link the related news reports published the same day or on a subsequent days. This is done through the use of keywords to indicate that the reports are related. Thus, when a former Miss India Nafisa Joseph committed suicide, her first name Nafisa was used to link all the reports on the subject. To separate the link word from the rest of the strapline, the former is the capitalized. For example, main headline, she packed her bags, was ready to leave. Strapline, Nafisa was to marry next week. Mom blames fiancé for her suicide. In a newspaper, it may appear as follows. She packed her bags, was ready to leave Nafisa was to marry next week. Mom blames fiancé for her suicide. So main headline, she touches us with her elegance. Strapline would be Nafisa, an MTV colleague recounts. So these are the example of his strapline and you know yeah, strapline and main headline. So another one is crosshead. A crosshead's role is to help sustain the reader's interest in a long story by breaking its monotony. A cross headline is written in a point size, generally 2 points more than the body type. Position in between the running text and done so after 3 to 5 paragraphs. Its objective is to capture the most important news point content in the paragraph over which it is placed. A crosshead through it cannot be called a headline prop in the strict sense of the term. Break the visual monotony of the text when the story is quite long. It does so by giving the readers an idea of what is to be expected in the paragraph following to the crosshead. Notably, few newspapers are found using crosshead in the news report these days. Now next point is side head. Position at the start of the paragraph. A side head is set in bold through its point size generally matches with that of the body text. It introduces a new point in the running story and can also be used as a headline for a news item in segment such as city briefs or crime briefs. Like crosshead, sidehead is not a headline prop in its strict sense of the term. It functions as a headline prop nonetheless. Next is navigation. Limited to one or two words, a navigation head guides reader to stories of their interest. It is placed in the middle of the running story to highlight its subject by breaking the grayness of the body text. It releases space for the main and can be visual too. Feature headline. Feature headline are used for feature stories or soft news story. They are different from the headlines used for the hard news stories. Instead of relying on the fact of the news content solely, they also add surprise or color factor for the readers. So at last I would like to tell you about the tips of writing a feature headline. A feature headline is written in a style that is conversational, engaging, informative, and full of anticipation. Neither too long nor an inappropriate font. A feature headline should be crafted in such a way that it gives the feel of the beginning of the conversation between two friends, while the language could be reasonably emotive. Its wording should be simple but superlative, avoided to the extent possible. So usually the brand names are kept out of the content so that it does not look like sponsored piece. However, it is advisable to highlight the interesting part of the story. So that's all for today. In our next topic, we are going to, in our next module, we are going to discuss about the writing a news content. So thank you so much for today. Thank you so